All of us own Geek Bars throughout the world, and we're going to introduce ourselves real quick here and tell you where we're from. But we know that we get a lot of the same questions and the same curiosities in our bars worldwide, and so we thought that coming together here at PAX, we could kind of address some of those questions and talk about some of the things that we all encounter and maybe share some of that with you. So, my name is Tony Nilles. I'm the owner of 42 Lounge in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, along with my wife Lynn.
I almost interrupted him to say you are one of the owners of 42 Lounge. I'm owner and / general manager. Again, my name is Lynn Nilles.
Hi guys. First off, it's a huge honor to even be here today, so I appreciate you guys coming to the panel. So I would never thought, 3 years ago, that I'd even be here talking to you people. But my name is Revard. I'm from Wichita, Kansas, and I own Headshots Bar and Grill. It's a video game restaurant.
All right, my name is Blomberg. I'm from Australia, and I have. What? Are there any other Australians in it, or do you just like Australia? One Australian. Two Australians in here. This is great. I am the creator and co-owner of the ManaBar in Australia. So.
Hello everyone, thank you for coming. My name is Bloch. I'm the owner of Space Station, which is located. Thank you. Located in Osaka, Japan. I grew up in Maryland, but my bar happens to be there, and at the end of this month, it'll be 3 years old.
I have a list of questions that we'll kind of run through a little bit in order to spur some conversation, but we were trying to hold back because I think we had like half this panel just occurred like at the bar, right down the road here a little bit, right? So we were like trying to, because we kind of all met for the first time today in person. But I'll ask a couple questions, we'll try and spur some conversation, and hopefully towards the end we'll have enough time where some of you can ask us some questions too, right? Because there's a couple of those in the crowd. So for any of you guys on the panel, I don't know who wants to start, but for someone who has not been to a Geek Bar before or isn't familiar with what it is that a Geek Bar is, what do you do? Can you briefly explain like what it is that you offer?
Alright, so 42 Lounge is in the middle of downtown Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We're actually near a lot of other clubs and lounges, but we offer a different experience. We have Xbox Ones, we have PlayStation 4s, we have Xbox 360, Wii U. We also offer a variety of tabletop gaming. We do esports, we do Doctor Who showings. We pretty much, you name it, and if it's a decent idea, we will do it. So, anything geek.
Headshots Bar and Grill is like I said, it's a restaurant with a full bar, but then we also offer free-to-play console based video games and like a cocktail lounge section. So we have semi-circle couches set up where you have your own television. You can fit 6 people there and play your games. But we have that. We have 16 stations set up. It's almost like an old Chicago or like a Hard Rock Cafe style, but it's for video games. We have a rock band set up. We do tournament monitors, we have that. We do cosplay events, we have charity events. It's the only place in Kansas you can get a beer, a burger, and play video games at. So we get a lot of people that wouldn't necessarily feel comfortable in a nightclub or like a sports bar, but they'll come out to a video game bar to meet people that share a common interest with them, and so they feel comfortable. And so that's really what we offer, is that unique experience that they can't necessarily get at a sports bar, because I don't know if you've ever tried to play Pokemon at a sports bar. You're probably not going to have the same conversation you would with your bartender if you're at a video game bar.
And despite what the bouncer was asking Ryan the other night when we were out drinking together, Wichita is a real place, and there are not tornadoes
like everywhere.
Ryan has
stopped me for like 10 minutes to explain to him what a tornado was. It was funny.
Yeah, so the ManaBar it's a video game cocktail bar. I think the big thing for us when we were going into it was to try and create somewhere that was credible to a gaming audience but still being acceptable to a wider demographic. I mean, gaming has had this antisocial, stereotypical kind of stigma about it for many, many years. You know, people who play video games are pasty white males locked in their parents' basements or things like that. And I think by creating a bar environment where video games were playable and the people that we had come into it were just normal, regular, everyday people, you know, that love video games. That was kind of our big goal, was to create somewhere that was a gaming community social hub, but that kind of breaks down that stereotype about gamers. So yeah.
Space Station is a video game bar. We don't really do much in the way of board gaming or card gaming. Or any kind of cosplay at the moment, but yeah, it's just video games, like running the gamut from the Famicom all the way up to current gen. And that's what you'll find. Actually, the bar is called Space Station because my local arcade as a kid, there was only one arcade in town and it was called Space Station, and it was dark and neon lit, like a classic 80s arcade. And so my bar, while it doesn't have any arcade games actually, the interior is like that. It's quite dark, and it's LED lit to simulate that same neon thing. So if you were to visit Space Station, that's what you'd see. A lot of home consoles in something that feels like an 80s arcade. Yeah.
And you can drink in it.
Oh yes, that's right. As like 8-year-olds, we did not drink in the arcades.
Well, we're from Wisconsin, so we may have. The next question I had on my list is, what was the motivation for opening a Geek Bar? And I know, I'll let you guys answer this, but I want Young to answer this first, because I think the rest of us were talking earlier, and pretty much everybody on this panel's motivation for opening a Geek Bar was Yug's Bar. So, ManaBar, for any of you that read Penny Arcade occasionally, ManaBar was on Penny Arcade a few years ago, right? Several years ago now. And that's how we first learned about it at 42, and we were like, holy shit, we can do this. So, but anybody else can answer it. I want Young to start. What was your motivation for opening ManaBar?
Yeah, okay. I think the motivation was already doing gatherings and social gatherings and things like that where people were already playing video games in a drinking environment. You know, I used to live in Brisbane in Australia, which is a small town but with quite a vibrant nightlife. And we'd have like house parties and things like that. And people would come back from nightclubs and bars and drink into the wee hours of the morning, on rooftops of houses and things like that. And one of the things that I started to do, because I love video games. I've loved video games all my life. I'm an obsessive geek and gamer, and yet I went out a lot and drank a lot and went to nightclubs and things like that. And we'd have these parties, and the people that came back to them are not the people that you usually look at and stereotype as gamer, a gamer demographic. Yet we would set up a projector with games and everything from Mario Kart to Guitar Hero to Call of Duty and Street Fighter, and these crowd of people who to anyone else would just seem like your typical nightclubbing crowd were getting into that more than anything else. I think at that point it was looking at it and going, this is a great, there's something here. There's an opportunity to actually create a physical, tangible environment that actually showcases how far the gaming community has come. And it was really about trying to break that stereotype, and we did it. It worked well. People, I say this all the time, people like drinking and playing video games.
It's a real thing.
It's a real thing, and I think for a lot of people that associate people who play video games as like kids and whatnot, this was a real validation for a lot of people. So that was our motivation. It was very scary doing it for the first time as well. It was we didn't really have a template to go off. It was really just kind of winging it. And myself and my business partners, when we started it, we pretty much allocated the money. We raised the money ourselves. It was our own money to do it. We we had to get comfortable with the concept that if this doesn't work, well, that was money well spent to drink and play video games for a bit. You know, it was really, you know, it was a risk, but it worked, and I'm so humbled it's influenced, you know, other places around the world. So yeah.
My motivation for opening a video game bar was the epiphany I had that it would be perfect for me to do. It would match my interests and my skill set. I don't mean it that way, but that's fine. So my interest, certainly gaming, in a tremendous way. And when I mean skill set, well, something like after I started college, I would live in an apartment, and then I would go from apartment to apartment over time, and my main priority was simply to set up my computer setup, my game setup. Like, that was the first thing I would do in any apartment I moved into. So I felt I don't know anything about interior design, but I'm like, okay, well, if I open this bar, I have the opportunity to design an interior that's not intended for individual use, but for a larger group. But I just had this confidence that I could design something in a certain way that would work. And another example is, like, I've dabbled in Photoshop, like, since it was Aldous Photostyler, like way back in the 90s. And like, all right, if I open this bar, I'll actually have a practical use for this, using Photoshop. I'm not a graphic designer, but it's just a hobby to work in Photoshop, and now I'd have an actual use for it. So it was stuff like that. Oh, and yeah, like, sorry, let me backtrack a little bit. I went to a video game bar in Osaka called Continue, Japanese video game bar. There's actually 4 video game bars in the south part of Osaka. I'm the third one chronologically, and they're Japanese run. Like, Space Station has the distinction of being the only foreign-run video game bar in Japan at the moment. And every other video game bar in Japan, there's about 24 actually throughout Japan. They're all run by Japanese. And I really like those bars in Osaka, the Japanese-run video game bars, but I felt I could do something different, better, for me, something that would floor me. Like, if I walked into a bar like mine, which has it manifested, right? Like, it would floor me. So, yeah, my bar has, like, Western games alongside the Japanese counterpart. Famicom next to the NES, Super Famicom next to the SNES. And just all these ideas, once I had the epiphany I should open my own, the ideas started flowing. So that's why I followed through with it. It was like a flow state for a long time.
Great. Well, that kind of leads to the next question, and I'll hit Lynn and Mario here first, and then we'll move down there again. How has the reception been of your bar by the community, right? Like, so not only by, like, the local geek community, but then also by the community as a whole. Like, what have you seen?
Well, I just told Young this story, so I'm sorry, Young, you get to hear it again.
I don't know.
So when we opened, we expected a good kind of, reception from the community, but it was never the feeling, like all the feels, seriously, it happened all at once. And even like being here right now, I'm kind of experiencing the same thing, so I'm a little bit like on the border of weepy right now, so excuse me. When we opened on our opening night, I remember there was a point where I grabbed a microphone and I just wanted to thank everyone for coming out. And everyone in the entire room just turned towards me and started clapping and screaming. And I was like, oh, holy crap, what have we done?
And we've had that feeling a couple times. I mean, we hit capacity on our opening night, which was insane to us. And I remember very clearly the Doctor Who 50th, right? The Day of the Doctor, right? How many people saw that? Right, exactly. So we're in Milwaukee. We had people that drove from Minneapolis, Chicago, and Detroit in order to come to our bar for the Day of the Doctor. I was turning people away at 11 a.m. That drove 2 hours to get to us. And I was trying to find other bars in the downtown area that had BBC America, which is the most impossible thing. BBC America. And I remember turning to one of my bartenders at that time, and I said, "What the hell have I done? This is simultaneously awesome and terrifying that I have created this beast that is I'm struggling to contain it." So, but yeah, the community has been awesome. And it's funny. Young and I were talking about this earlier too, and Matt, that people come into the bar from the clubs along the street, and they walk in and they take one look around and they see the video game. Yeah, bros. They take a look at the video game. They go right back out the door. They're like, "Oh, you got no music and no girls. Don't get the fuck out of here." It's just it's hilarious to me. About 40% female in the bar at any given time. So it's not like it's all guys all the time. But so that's been hilarious, right? Is that people that get it totally get it. And there was a guy walking down the street. He was in a nice suit. He had these two girls on each side, right? They had the big pumps and everything like that. They're obviously going to one of the clubs down the street. And the girls are walking, and the guy's like... And you knew he was going to go with the girls, but he really wanted to go with the So that's been really cool. It's completely exceeded our expectations. I'll let Ryan and these guys answer this.
Yeah, no, the community's honestly been fantastic. It's blown me away. I mean, we've been profitable immediately out of the gate. It's due strictly to the community and word of mouth. We couldn't afford high-level advertising, so it's just we create something unique and people just spread it like wildfire. It's fantastic, and we haven't peaked yet. We just keep getting busier and busier every month, which is fantastic. It's a great problem to have to buy new equipment and hire more staff. It's great. We've almost been open a year now. It's fantastic, but. No, the motivation for opening Headshots was, I was very, very unhappy with what I was doing on a day-to-day basis, and, I was talking to some people. I was doing a lot of different jobs. I worked at a million different things. Went to school for a lot of things that I didn't need to go to school for. I have a degree in bartending now, and I use that more than a business degree. It's crazy. But no, and I was talking to my friends, and they were like, "Well, what do you really like doing? What do you have the most fun doing?" And I was like, I like drinking, video games, and hanging out with my friends. And they're like, "Well, just do that. You can't do that." I was like, you can't make a job doing that at all. It's the farthest from the truth, I guess, now that it actually happened.
My mom still doesn't get it.
Yeah, it's okay. And the only bar that I knew at the time was Young's Bar, and that was incredibly inspiring. That something, I was like, somebody actually did it. It does exist. I didn't know that there was even these guys until 6-7 months ago. I thought it just didn't exist. People didn't go out and drink and play video games, even though I've been doing it every weekend for years. This is what we did. And so I was like, I want a place that I feel comfortable at, that my friends feel comfortable at, and I really had to take that leap of faith that if you really enjoy doing something, if you're really passionate about it, just do that thing, no matter what it is. Forget about the money for a little bit, just do that. You'll find other people that enjoy that thing as well. PAX is an incredible example of that. I see my customers, when I walk around, it's these are people who would go into places like our bars, and it blows me away. And everybody's so nice because we're given that common interest. I worked at Best Buy for a while, and I went to the entertainment holiday kickoff where they send you to Phoenix and you play all the games before they come out. Okay. Yeah, it's fun. I went there, and it's really boring for 10 hours. You go to meetings, but then afterwards you go, and the vendors, they have the games that aren't out yet for that holiday season set up in the hotel, and Best Buy gives you a $50 a day per diem, for food. And so we would just go across the street to Subway and get a foot long. And the Sheridan took advantage of that. They knew that we were doing it, and they set up cash bars around the gaming area. And so I got to drink and play video games for a whole week, and I'd never done anything like that. And I came back from that trip, and I was like, I'm doing this. And I started writing the business plan, looking it up, and I was like, I was the most happy I'd ever been, and I wanted to do that every day of my life. And that was the big motivator. I'm blown away by the community, the support that they give, that I'm not the only one that wants to do this sort of thing. So.
You know, Ryan's story inspired me that we have to talk to Robert and try and get like a gaming bar set up inside of PAX at some point.
I would totally bartend the shit out of that.
I'm sorry.
What was the question?
Yeah. How's the community reception been?
So, the thing about these bars, right, is the community aspect of them is critical. That's, I don't know, would you guys agree that's like a large part of why we do it? Yeah. Otherwise you're just running a bar, you know, and running a bar can be, I'll be honest with you, like it becomes a little bit soul-destroying. I think everyone in their 20s at some point is like, drunkenly with their mates, you know what we should do? We should open a bar. And that's pretty much exactly how we did it. So we should open a bar with video games. But what keeps you going, and it's this brilliant thing, is the people that come into the bar. It's interesting how you relate it to PAX. It's very similar to everyone in this room. It is very much a community of people with a common interest that are coming together. I say quite often, forget pool tables, dance floors, multiplayer pickup turn-based video games, can bring complete strangers together and get people interacting better than anything else. I mean, look around you at this event and you'll see that. Add drinks into the mix, it's even better. And for us it was, fostering and nurturing that community of people. And just, I guess, in a relatable story, like, when we first opened the bar, and again, this was a template where we really didn't know if it was going to work. Like the opening day, we've been working day and night constantly, to try and get this thing ready. We left the bar the night before it opened, and there were 2 people lining up. It was like 3 a.m. in the morning, and I was like, "Hey, how you doing? What are you doing? We're not open yet, And they were like, "Yeah, no, we're here. We flew over from New Zealand. That's about a 4-hour flight to Australia. We flew over from New Zealand to get here, and we're lining up. We're really excited."
Geeks are really good at lines.
But I felt so guilty. I was just like, "Oh man, this is it's just a room with drinks and video games, guys." But I guess that's the thing. It's we create an environment. We put the drinks in place and the games and the TVs and everything like that in place. But what makes these things work with anything to do with, the gaming community is the people that come there and actually, turn it into this fantastic environment. So the community is critical. The response we got was phenomenal. I think for us as well, we got a lot of international press, obviously, because one of my business partners is Yahtzee. So we got a lot of gaming specialist press that picked it up internationally. But we also got we got written up in the Rolling Stones and Vanity Fair and all these kind of things that were like crazy Australians and they're drinking in their video games. It's not just this.
I want Matt to answer this because he's an American running a bar in Japan, which is very interesting to me. But just to cap off what Yogi was saying, and I think everybody will agree with this, like at 42, when we look at what we're doing, we're a business, and obviously we want to make money, right? I mean, that's the bottom line, that we have to keep our doors open. But the way that we approach it is like other bars in downtown Milwaukee approach their business as, okay, what can I do in order to maximize my profits, right? And what we do is we focus on what can we do to maximize our community, and the profits solve themselves in a lot of cases, right? So like if we can create a place that people want to be all of the time, and they want to come for events, and they want to do things at, then things like alcohol sell themselves, right? I mean, because when you have alcohol in front of you, you're going to buy it. It's not like the option is, can I buy alcohol or not buy alcohol? You're not going to choose, well, I don't want any alcohol. That's not but Matt, I want you to answer the same question, because that's for you, especially being a foreigner in Japan. Like, what's the reception been like at your bar from the community?
All right, yeah, the community in Japan. Well, as far as Japanese people are concerned, certainly a lot of them have grown up on playing video games. There's less of a stigma associated with video games than there is in other countries. That's not to say it doesn't exist. The stigma with video games still exists even amongst the Japanese, but it's far less of a thing. Certainly Space Station has a lot of Japanese customers, but at the same time, like, Space Station is in an area where there's 3 other video game bars all within walking distance, and they're all Japanese run. So a lot of
terrified by that. That's like so much competition. That's like terrifying.
Well, yeah, a lot of Japanese people are not comfortable being surrounded by foreigners, and it's understandable. I mean, having to deal with a language barrier, right, and so on. At the same time, there's a lot of Japanese that are eager to speak English and practice their English, so they would come to my bar to play video games and enjoy the novelty of playing the Western version of a game they like, and hopefully speaking with foreigners. As far as the foreign community, a lot of foreigners who live in Japan have an interest in otaku things, whether it be video games or anime or manga. So Osaka has a lot of foreigners, a huge foreigner population, and they like to come to a foreign video game bar. Yeah.
Hey, I have a question for you, actually. So where do you get American video games from? How do you ship them in? What do you do?
Great question, Lynn. Yes, I started collecting my favorite video games 9 or 10 years ago. I started collecting them, just my favorites, from the predominantly NES, SNES, and Genesis. Of course, I didn't have it in my head that I would open a video game bar at the time I was collecting 9 or 10 years ago. But I started just buying up my favorites in box with manual. It was very important to me to have it like that. And when it came time to open the bar, yes, I had my entire collection of NES, SNES, and Genesis games shipped over. And that makes up most of the retro portion of my bar. And the boxes line the walls.
I'm sorry. So you took your own collection. All right, we go through about a controller a week. Seriously, there's no way in hell I would ever donate my own collection.
She'd be donating my collection. That's not going to happen.
You guys go through do you go through many controllers?
I mean, when a controller breaks, I mean, we consider that just the cost of doing business.
Yes.
It's like when someone knocks over a pint glass and breaks the bar. I mean, that happens. I mean, controllers break, but I mean, like, so we swap them out, and that's just.
We had hardware controllers for a while, and people would like trip over the cord, and then they smash on the floor. We were breaking thumbsticks on them like crazy on Xbox.
Well, thumbsticks, yeah. I mean, I don't know, in my experience anyway, the retro side of things, cartridges and controllers, they're far more robust than...
Oh, totally. Like, the Nintendo controller, like, if I could have broken a Nintendo NES controller in half, I would have done that at some point. An Xbox controller is not nearly as robust as that, but...
Yeah, it's a funny thing, like, customers will often ask me, like, how is this stuff still holding up after 2 or 3 decades? And the funny thing is that the cartridges are far more likely to not break than something that's disc-based.
We crack a lot of discs.
Yes.
And most of that's, our customers obviously don't change the discs, so that's like our bartenders, which one of them is in the audience right now, so I'm not going to blame them for that. But yeah, I mean, we do crack an awful lot of discs.
Really? Oh, goodness.
We go through both controllers.
Yeah, you know what? We didn't get that. We didn't get that. And I'm not just like
Rock Band controllers? What about
no,
those?
okay, drum
Yeah.
That's drum kits can go screw themselves. That was short-lived. No, we had like I'm not just a shill here for like Microsoft and Sony and Nintendo and stuff, but and I believe it was actually due to the care that our audience actually had towards the bar.
That's true.
You know, it was very much, and we didn't have like wired controllers. We had wireless controllers that were cabled to the tables in front of the TV.
We've switched to wireless now, and actually the shocking thing is, so we went hardwired originally because the controllers are in a cabinet where like they're secured in such a way where even if you pull it and unplug it, you can get the cord, but like the plug is still stuck behind the thing, right? The hole's only big enough for the cord itself. And with the new consoles now, with the Xbox Ones and the PS4s, that's not as much of an option.
Sure.
So we've now gone to like just wireless controllers, like here's a controller, go play. And we haven't had, we've actually been, we were expecting them all to get stolen like a day. Like we were expecting every go for that.
No, stolen,
it hasn't happened.
Stolen is the big one. And like when we opened, we drilled these freaking cable things from the controllers to the
We
tables.
tried to copy you.
Yeah, we had that discussion. You told us like there's a screw, and I was like, I'm not fucking taking all these things apart. Like,
Don't get me wrong, we broke a bunch of them first. But you can do it because our consoles were behind the bar running long-ass HDMI cables to each TV. So they're very far away from the controllers themselves. But after a while, like we did eventually have to swap a couple of them, because, not because they necessarily broke, but just some of the buttons got a little sticky in some
When we bust our tables, we actually have to bust the controllers.
Yes.
right.
Yeah, exactly. You go
We
around.
sort of
Wipe with like alcohol clean down. And,
Yeah.
Yeah, we used to have the stuff.
Yeah, we sanitized.
wipe it down.
no PAX box in our bar.
But yeah, eventually we actually after a bit we were so busy and we had to replace some controllers and we just didn't have time to drill it and cable it. It was a pain in the ass thing. But like, you know, we didn't have time to do that. And we found no one stole any controllers. You know, none. I think over the course of the first year of operation, this includes controllers that were like cabled down or not cabled down, like just free roaming. And this includes like guitars and things like this. And just, yeah, we had one Xbox 360 controller lost. You know, like as
The only we had a picture stolen off a wall once.
Yeah.
And that
It was Boba Fett. Someone stole my freaking Boba Fett picture. And if I find it, I will kill them, I swear.
we had posters stolen from the bathroom.
right, no!
Our page is the menu too. Like, instead of just going to the website and like downloading the menu, people will actually steal the page out of the menu.
You know what? But people will take they don't have controllers already. That's the thing, right?
They don't have these really easily printed out copies of posters that anyone can get off the internet. But
And on the subject of, what do they call it? Loss or whatever. Like
Loss.
something being stolen, yeah. It was important to me to have the retro side of things anyway. Everything within arm's reach. So you want to play The Legend of Zelda, it's all laid out on the counter. You take it. Probably do have to blow into it. I have no problem with that. A lot of people do have a problem with blowing into the set, but it works. And just, you don't need to ask the staff for help. And
I feel like going into it and taking alcohol level readings. 0.5%.
breathalyzer in the shape of a Zelda. Yeah, so for retro games, it was all, you can just say it, play it, and that's the way it remains to this day. I recently took inventory of the whole bar, and in the 3 years the bar's been open, 3 cassettes have gone missing. So I feel that's pretty good, actually. And controllers haven't disappeared. No, nothing. So far, so good.
At Headshots, I believe in like the active reciprocation a lot. Like we actually don't charge for the video games, and that blows a lot of people away. Like we're just about creating an experience in a community, so it's a unique experience as a whole. It's the beer, food, video games, and we don't charge for the video games. And it's kind of like if a good friend loans you a video game, you're going to take better care of that cartridge than you would your own thing. Like you drop it on the floor, the cartridge. But I drop my cell phone, like I'm not gonna care, like I'm like that's my fault, whatever. But people take better care of our equipment than anything because we're giving them something. Like I haven't had a couch punctured, I haven't had, I've never even had a fight in my I haven't had a controller stolen or broken intentionally out of like spite or anything like that. And I think it's because we give them something and they feel like they want to return that, just naturally.
Just curious, do any of us charge people to play games?
No,
I do not.
No.
On that subject, I want to say I'm very proud of the fact that Space Station does not. I mean, in Japan, it is customary for there to be a cover charge to go into a video game bar, and I don't fault them at all. I mean, there's a lot of bars in Japan that have a cover charge anyway, even though they're generic bars, they don't really bring anything extra to the table. So I don't fault the video game bars in Japan for having a cover charge. They actually do bring a lot extra to the table. But at the same time, I wanted to try to do it without a cover charge. Foreigners in Japan don't respond well to a cover charge. Japanese people are used to it, but foreigners are not. And I knew a lot of foreigners would be coming, so I tried it that way. And just in good faith, like I hope customers wouldn't take advantage of the system, just sitting on one drink for 4 hours, whatever. And
that doesn't really happen at ours.
It doesn't happen in mine either. If it started to happen, then I would have to implement something.
They're gonna get thirsty at some point. They're gonna smell the food. They're gonna smell cheese and bacon. And
At 42 video games, we're 100% alcohol sales. We're 100% alcohol sales. That's all we do.
We're 100% alcohol. Yeah, we got the person that would actually come in. We got people that would come in. Actually, here's a question, just to mix it up.
Oh shit.
Like,
I am not prepared for
so,
this.
I think one of the things that when I started telling this idea to friends and family and stuff, that I'm going to open a video game bar, was the question is like, right, so you've got a bar and you're not going to charge people to go in, you're not going to charge people to play video games, so what's to stop them just going in there and playing games and not drinking?
Yeah, a lot of people see that. Like anytime you say we do something for free, people are going to ask, well, how do I take advantage of that free thing? Or are people taking advantage of that free thing? How are you still paying your bills? That's a big deal. And I mean, we have an 80-foot wall that has 8 semicircle couches at them that seat about 6 people, and each one has a television at it. But recently, this year, we added 4 Evo monitors to our secondary wall with bar stools at those as an overflow. So on the weekdays, if someone comes in and want to play like Dark Souls, that's great. They can sit in there in that booth. But then, later at night, I'll let them know, hey, I'm going to see, this birthday party or this group of 6 here. Do you mind moving over? And I've never had anybody complain. Like, oh yeah, I can just slide over there and play. Yeah, that's cool. Also, it's a monitor or whatever. I don't have any problems with that when they're in there. But like, they always end up buying something.
Yeah,
I don't really have a problem.
We've been pretty good about that. We haven't had a lot of problems with that. We do though. I mean, we have a couple customers that they'll come in and they'll order water, all the time, or soda or something. And then, like, if they're designated driver, that's one thing, right? But there are a couple of regular customers that come in all the time, just and try and drink water. And so in Milwaukee, there was actually an internet cafe that did something kind of similar to what we were doing, where they were coffee sales and stuff. That's called Node. And they went out of business because of that. Like, they'd have people that would come in and sit there and just hang out all day long using the internet connection, not doing anything. So 42's been open for a year now, and we have started to adopt, and I don't want to misphrase this, but it's if somebody comes in and they're with a group of other people and those people are making purchases, we're fine, right? But like if I have a couple of people that come in and they're just there every day to sit there and not make purchases, we try to make them a little bit uncomfortable in order to try and either get them to leave or make a purchase. And I don't mean that in a way to make us seem like we're monsters.